A blessed day to everyone and to the rest of our JRM family all over the world. We are blessed indeed. Tayo po ay nagagalak na maging kabahagi po ng ating gawain po through our online family altar. At sa oras po na ito, ang ating pong pagbubulay-bulayan ay magagaling po sa Esther chapter 4. And the book of Esther, to give you the short historical background, tells a story of a woman who is really beautiful both inside and out. And Mordecai, an older cousin, siya po yung nag-alaga kay Esther simula po nung bata pa po siya because Esther was really an orphan. In a sense, he becomes her mentor. And as a gorgeous young Jewish woman, Esther is chosen to replace Queen Vashti as a consort of King Ahasuerus. And somewhere in the midst of her raids, a man named Haman feels snubbed by Mordecai and responds by making plans to exterminate the Jewish people. When Mordecai learns the plot, he returns to Queen Esther and tries to convince her that she must stop this genocidal plan. We will see that after a moment of indecision, she tries to take the enormous raids. Sa kabuuan po ng chapter 4, we will see the crisis that the Jewish people is facing, na pwedeng isang snap lang po, pwedeng isang iglap lang po, mawa-wipe out po ang kabuuan ng Jewish people. But let me share to you 4 points to ponder, to really learn from their experiences that we can also relate to our present situation. Number 1, the great power comes great responsibility. Esther did not become a queen for nothing. We are not also positioned for nothing. It is a calling. It is our calling. Particularly in verses 7 and 8. It is the burden when Mordecai told him that all had happened to him and the sum of money that Haman had promised to pay into the king's treasuries to destroy the Jews. He also gave him a copy of a written decree of their destruction, which was given to Susan, that he might show it to Esther and explain it to her, and that he might command her to go to the king to make supplication to him and plead before him for her people. Sa kabuuan po ng konteksto po na ito, wala pong ibang nakaposisyon na pwedeng mag-make ng action kundi po si Esther. Indeed, that Esther's position is really a God's plan para po sa mangyayari po sa kabuuan po ng storya po na ito. Second point po, the present crisis is the result of past disobedience. Let us see the previous chapter to really understand the situation deeply. Back in chapter 3 verses 5 to 8, when Haman saw that Mordecai did not bow or pay him honor, Haman was filled with wrath, but he disdained to lay hands on Mordecai alone, for they had told him of the people of Mordecai. Instead, Haman sought to destroy all the Jewish who were throughout the whole kingdom of Ahasuerus for the people of Mordecai. Malaki po ang kabuuan ng hugot kung bakit ito po yung naging plano po ni Haman sa mga Jewish people at kay Mordecai po. And back to chapter 4, verses 1 to 2, when Mordecai learned that all that had happened, he tore his clothes and put on sackcloth and ashes and went out into the midst of the city. He cried out with a loud and bitter cry. He went as far as the front of the king's gate, for no one might enter the king's gate clothed with sackcloth. He is really desperate at this very moment. Kung titignan po natin yung history po kung bakit ganito po yung nangyari, Mordecai is a Benjamin descendant of Saul, and Haman is an Agagite. Going back almost 1,000 years from this time, when the Jews exited from Egypt and were attacked by the Amalekites in Exodus 17:8 to 16, God pronounces his curse on the Amalekites, which resulted to their total elimination. But Saul at this time received an order to kill all the Amalekites, including their king Agag. But Saul disobeyed. And this is now the result of this past disobedience. Samuel indeed intervened with God's guidance and hacked Agag into pieces in 1 Samuel 15:32 to 33. Because of Haman's lineage from Agag, he carried a deep hostility toward the Jews. This explains why Mordecai refused to bow down to Haman and why Haman so viciously attempted to exterminate the Jewish race. To give you this point, We should not live from the past. Move forward and learn from it. Face our present with courage, surrendering everything to God, and prepare for the future that is still ahead of us. Indeed, with the past, dwelling in the past, it will just lead us into destruction. The third point, God moves in a mysterious ways. In response to the call of God, God is looking for obedience. In verse 14, for if you remain completely silent at this time, relief and deliverance will arise from the Jews from another place. But you and your father's house will perish. Yet who knows whether you have come to the kingdom for such a time as this? Pag tinignan po natin, we can divide this verse into three. First, for if you remain completely silent at this time, relief and deliverance will arise from the Jews from the other place. Even if Esther did not seize the opportunity to intervene, the Lord will still raise up someone who will take the action. Kasi kung babalikan po natin ang verse 13, nandun po yung pag-aagam-agam po ni Esther kung gagawin po ba niya yung pinapagawa ni Mordecai. Kasi for about 30 days, hindi po siya pinatawag na ng hari. And then the next one, but you and your father's house will perish. Indeed, kung hindi po sumunod po si Esther dun sa panawagan po niya, she cannot escape the sentence or the consequences because of her prominence. And third, yet who knows whether you have come to the kingdom for such a time as this? It is indirectly appealed to God's providential timing na hindi po coincidence, hindi po aksidente kung nasaan po tayo ngayon, kung nasaan si Esther, kung nasaan si Mordecai, even to our present time, kung anong posisyon natin, kung anong kalalagayan natin. Indeed, it will be used mightily by God for His great purpose. And fourth, the present actions, not the past, will determine the future. In verse 16, go, gather all the Jews who are present in Susan, and fast for me. Neither eat nor drink for 3 days, night or day. My maids and I will fast likewise, and so I will go to the king, which is against the law. If I perish, I perish. Ito po yung naging conviction po ngayon ni Esther. Ito po ngayon yung naging action po niya doon sa nakaatang po na responsibility doon sa posisyon na binigay sa kanya. Despite the past disobedience na nangyari, the present actions matters the most to determine the future. Hindi na natin pwedeng balikan pa yung mga nangyari noong mga nakaraan to blame them. That's why the present crisis is happening to us right now. It is not a time to blame. It is a time to really consecrate ourselves and to really ask God's guidance for us to really face our presence with courage and surrendering everything to God. And the lesson for the application for this one, I believe God has positioned us where we are right now for a great purpose. And for such a time as this, we are not called, we are not positioned to be idle and take part to the panic of the world and fear the situation. Yes, it is not really easy to feel joy in this very crisis. We have fear, we have all the anxiety, we have all the worries, but God is calling us to fight a good fight of faith. Fear cripples us, it will just limit us, but faith deliberates us. It will free us really indeed. And next, we are the spiritual frontliners of this time. Let us all go back to our knees and stretch out our hands towards the heaven as we entrust everything to Him, because a prayer of a righteous man is powerful and effective. Nawa po sa napagbulay-bulayan po natin ay napalakas lamang po ang buhay po ng bawat isa, na patunay lang po na hindi po dahilan na kung nasaan po yung kalalagayan po natin ngayon ay magiging excuse po yun, parang pahinto po na mangyari kagustuhan po ng Panginoon. We will not focus ourselves to the crisis, but we will focus ourselves to the hands of God, because indeed, we will not see, hindi man natin nakikita ang mukha ng Diyos ngayon, but naniniwala tayo na kumikilos ang kanyang mga kamay at nakikita niya ang ating sitwasyon. Manalangin po tayo. Panginoon, pinupuri ka namin sa aming kalagitnaan ngayon. Maraming salamat po, Panginoon, sa kabuuan ng buhay ni Esther na pwede magpalakas po, Panginoon, sa amin. na kung saan mo man kami nilagay, Panginoon, saan mo man kami tinawag, Panginoon, tatayo lamang kami. We will make a stand, we will make a difference, Panginoon. Na ikaw lang yung maitataas, na yung plano mo, Panginoon, yung siyang mangyari. Hindi kami panghihinaan, Panginoon, ng sitwasyon dahil alam namin ang paggagalingan ng aming lakas sa iyo. At alam namin ngayon, Panginoon, that apart from you, we can really do nothing, O God. Lord, we surrender to you everything. Sa iyo lamang, Panginoon, na lahat ng papuri at pagsamba. Hayaan mo, Panginoon, na matapos ang oras na ito, na may bagong kalakasan kami, na may bagong pag-asa kami nahaharapin namin ang aming pagkakataon, Panginoon, na may kababaang loob na sa iyo, Panginoon, namin pinagkakatiwala ang lahat ng bagay. Pinupuri ka namin, sinasamba ka namin, maghari ka sa puso at buhay ng bawat isa, sa bawat tahanan, sa bawat pamilya, sa bawat establishmento kung nasaan man kami ngayon, Lord God. Maranasan namin yung pagsama mo. Ito ang aming panalangin sa matamis sa pangalan niyo, anak na si Jesus. Amen.